Here's a lesson on censorship from your favorite conspiracy theorist. When you create a piece of video content on one of these applications, there's a variety of different inputs on how it understands what you're posting. The first and most obvious is the title of the video and the captions themselves. In the same way the application would read for a bad word, like a swear word or a really offensive word, it can also read words that are not offensive but are adjacent to things that they would consider to be misinformation or disinformation. If you write that exact word in the caption or in the title, it's extremely easy to identify. Next is the actual words you say. AI is so sophisticated that they can convert a video and convert your audio into actual words almost instantaneously. So as soon as you post a video and you say the words out loud, it transcribes all those into English words, and then they can search those words the same way that they would search the titles or the captions. Again, looking for offensive words and also offensive adjacent words or misinformation, disinformation, or whatever words they want to throttle at any given time. The next is text or captions that appear in the videos. It's extremely easy to read these words as well. The next is the comments that appear on that video, or what comments or hashtags people use when they reshare it to their story or to other people. Even though you're not writing the comments that people leave are an indicator of what is happening in the video as well. And all of those get ranked into it. This would also include what people say about the video when they DM it to other people. Next is the types of people that engage and comment on it, and what they engage and comment on in their other travels around that application as well. So the types of people that engage on your video, what appears in their bio, what appears in the captions and titles of the posts that they make on their own page, the lump sum total of all of their comments and the types of words they're using in their comments on other people's posts, all ranked in. Everybody probably has a social score, a rankability score that ranks how dangerous or how misinformation prone they are when they post on these applications. And then there's the inputs that they're not even making, the videos that they're watching, the types of videos they're watching, and all of the metrics that are in those videos as well. Even though you may never make a comment, never make a DM, never input any behavior, the videos that you choose to watch would paint a clear profile of what type of character you are. And if those people with those theoretically dangerous scores were to engage with your video, it would indicate that you are close to them in theory. And the same goes for your behavior as well. The comments that you make on other videos, the videos that you watch, the videos that you watch to completion, the DMs you send, the hashtags you follow. And then because there are tracking cookies that are installed on your phone in any number of these applications, they also know the types of websites that you visit and the other applications that you engage with. And to go even deeper, maybe this happens, maybe it doesn't, it also has access to the files on your phone, for example, if you upload images or upload videos. So it can probably, in theory, have access to your images, your videos, and scan those as well for the same type of metrics. Now, you don't have to individually ban a person or say, I'm going to ban this person like they did with Twitter to silence them. You could just put a throttle for whenever those metrics are hit. In the same way that if you watch a lot of duck videos, it'll start to serve you more duck videos, the same goes for all of this information, misinformation, disinformation, hate speech, whatever you want to call it. You're constantly feeding the algorithm these inputs that indicate what type of character you are. So if you take out the human element, like what happened to Twitter, where they just picked individual people and said, I'm going to remove this post, or I'm going to remove this person, or throttle this person, or make them not searchable, or don't amplify them, or whatever. The same thing is likely happening on every other application, except you could just be watching their videos or consuming the videos or sharing them in the DM or just watching them to completion or whatever, or even just tagging them. So the shadow blob comes from the fact that you're engaging with that information. So anybody that has a score under X, decrease their reach by 10%, 5%, 15%, whatever, and then increase it over time, considering how frequently they hit those words or hit those scores or whatever within a certain time period. The same would go for the reach of your stories, the same would go for the reach of your individual text posts, and so forth. Because this is doing it already with certain things, for example, external links. If you're linking out externally, it's taking people away from the application, which is bad for business, bad for attention, bad for usage time, and ultimately bad for the bottom dollar. So if your posts constantly have sales material, on sale, buy this, click this, go here, leave the app, it's natural that they would throttle that down just to preserve their own time on the app and ultimately their money. But the same thing is happening with information and truth and words. Now that's just the automated aspect of it. Think about the human aspect. It's literally a psyop. You could turn up or down the heat around some social cause or social issue, even by geographic targeting. You could say in this city on this day, amplify these things or turn these things up or down. They've been doing this with the media since the beginning of time, but now it's more targeted. It's in real time. There's rich media that they don't even have to produce. They don't even have to put out a news article. They can just take somebody's information or somebody's video and amplify it, serve it to you, change the way you think, especially young, impressionable people. And they know they're young and impressionable because they know the types of posts that they engage in, the types of people they connect to. There's a social profile of every person. So for example, it's like if you're looking at depressing posts about being sad, posts about whatever, they could easily serve you some social issue that you would likely emotionally latch onto, and then you'd become a steward of that cause. So it's like all the things that the conspiracy theorists have been saying, it's happening in real time. It's more than obvious. And each of these information dumps just prove it factually out in the open. But it's far deeper than that, and it's not just happening on social. This has been happening through any other media, any other engineered distribution of information since forever, since the beginning of time. It used to be newspapers, television, news articles, podcasts, radio, whatever, but now it's everywhere, especially here. Once people start to understand the power of selective information distribution, the distribution of thoughts and ideas being throttled by an individual or some algorithm, they would realize how much power these people have. And what I find so funny after all of this stuff is how people will be like, well, why would they do that? Power and control. It's like, how many times do we have to say it? Power and control. Do people not think that other people want power and control? That's what everybody wants. You want power and control over your mind, over your relationships. You don't want it in an insidious manner necessarily, but you want to be in control of your life for the most part. So what's to say that people in high places wouldn't want that same power and control? The ability to control how much money they get, how people think about their businesses or the way that they run their operation. It's all part of the same game. So we have a clearly biased mainstream media, and you know where the headquarters of all these applications are at. You know the relationships that they have and the way that and who they donate to and the types of causes and people that they support. It's like how anybody could believe that it's not tilted and there's not a psychological operation to get you to think and act a certain way. How anybody could think that that's the case is insane. And because the vast majority of people interact with the most quantity of people through this mechanism, the internet, when you go in the real world, you really just don't see stuff like this. So if they can control all of the time, which is the majority of the time that you spend with your head and your mind in these, they can essentially control the way you think about anything and everything, thus swaying your opinions about certain bills, about certain selections, about certain people, certain businesses, certain causes. And then the culture follows, the groupthink, the hive mind. If this was not true, then they wouldn't need to silence people that think the other way. Because the reality of it all is that these people, the vast majority of people that are in these institutions that are being stewards of the larger control narrative, they're on the take. Their silence is being purchased. Their compliance is being purchased through fame, exposure, distribution, rising up the theoretical ladder, book deals, TV deals, news hits, press hits, and money. Exposure. In the same way that you can't speak your mind if you're in the NBA, for example. It's like, you can't speak out against the NBA, then you're out of the NBA. Then what are you going to do? You just know to stay silent to keep that cash flow going. That's what I mean when I say that everybody's on the take. The monetary benefit of silence and compliance is huge and more than obvious. And the public humiliation ritual, the downgrading, the canceling, that's just a show. You take whoever's the strongest, you bring them out into the town square, and you break them down. It's the people with discernment and independent thinking that are not persuaded by the hive mind, that are not persuaded by the mob, by the tribe, that are able to see outside this psychological box. Those people are ostracized socially. And the people that have the distribution, like movies, music, media, their reach, their distribution is squashed intentionally to make an example so that nobody else with that kind of reach does the same thing. Speak out. Just know that the other side of this understanding is reserved for an elite few. The independent thinkers that cannot be persuaded by these dark forces. This is just one in a variety of different challenges that have come into people's path since the beginning of human existence. And much like those challenges were defeated at that time, we will do the same. Because the truth is light and the hive mind is rarely correct. Because the fact that they're coming for everything that you've got is more than obvious, more than clear. It's right in plain sight. The question is, how long will you tolerate it before you do the very least, which is speak about it? Because evil doesn't let up on pressing towards more evil, towards more darkness, towards more destruction, towards more control. The only solution is to be on offense. So stay the course, join the fight, don't be discouraged. Because they've been doing this since way before we existed and will likely do it long after we're gone. The question is, how much offense will we go on after we've taken this time to not only learn the truth, but convince ourselves that being on the other side of it is actually better for not only ourselves, but the world. So while it seems like these terrible and incorrect ideologies are theoretically winning the game at this point, just understand that that's part of the discouragement. That's all engineered. Real progress is being made, so long as we don't let up.